From an attack on a shipwreck to the guy who tangled with a man-eating super squid, here are 10 times diving went horribly wrong with some bizarre animal encounters. 10. Attack on a shipwreck. A diver was spearfishing at the wreckage of a World War II vessel when he was stripped of his weapon and forced to get into an altercation with a shark. Captain Matt Wirt was caught on video literally fighting a shark with his bare hands while diving at the SS Papoose off the coast of North Carolina. It really doesn't get any more dramatic than that. The ship sank back in 1942 after getting smacked by a German torpedo. Ever since, it has been a playground for tiger sharks and other marine life. But these sharks weren't feeling very playful when Captain Wirt went down there with his spear and started stealing their fish. To protect their territory, the sharks attacked. They stole the captain's spear from out of his hands and tried to bite his face off. Luckily for the captain, his friend was nearby and together, they managed to fight the sharks off and make an escape. Still, the captain has since said he'll be changing his equipment for future dives in case something like this happens again and he needs to make a quick getaway. 9. Giant Goliath Grouper. The giant Goliath grouper is one of the biggest and most delicious fish in the world. It's also a horrifying thing to see swimming directly at you while diving underwater. A diver and fisherman recently ran into some bad luck when he got into a bit of a tangle with this huge fish, some of which can grow to be up to 800 pounds and over 8 feet in length, with the Florida record being 680 pounds. This fierce battle went down in the Gulf of Mexico. The diver had just speared a fish when the grouper swam up and stole it right from his hands. Not only that, the grouper tried to take the diver's hand with it. The diver's entire hand and wrist got stuck in the dangerous fish's mouth, and rather than relent his hard-earned catch, the diver reached another hand in and tried to pull his fish back. In the end, the grouper was way stronger than the pitiful human. It easily ripped the fish away from the diver and swam off with it. The diver's just lucky the grouper didn't rip his arm off too. 8. Stabbed by a swordfish. A scuba diver is lucky to be alive after getting into a confrontation with a giant swordfish. For those who don't know, a swordfish comes with a literal sword attached to its faces, and when provoked, it can use that sword for murder. The diver was walking in the darkness off the coast of Brazil, just strolling along the ocean floor when from out of nowhere, the swordfish appeared. Without hesitation, it swam directly at the diver like a speeding bullet and then impaled itself on the diver's oxygen equipment. The swordfish became stuck inside the mess of hoses and canisters on the guy's back, which was obviously pretty alarming. The diver needed that equipment to keep breathing. As the fish thrashed violently and tried to get itself free, the diver panicked, grabbed hold of the climbing rope and hurried back up into his submerged vessel. He got away clean, but had the swordfish attacked him just a few inches to the right, the fish would have impaled his throat instead of his oxygen equipment. Even though it was a pretty horrifying event, the diver was still very lucky to get out alive. 7. Angry Octopus. A diver was on a trip to Japan when he was manhandled by a giant octopus. This is probably the last creature you want manhandling you on a trip to the land of the rising sun. The Russian tourist was minding his own business in the Sea of Japan when the octopus came out of nowhere, chased the guy down, and began wrapping its slimy tentacles around him. The diver tried to get away before the octopus could rip his oxygen tank off, but all efforts seemed futile. The octopus grabbed hold of the guy and tried pulling him even deeper into the sea. It was probably trying to take him away to do creepy octopus things in the dark where nobody could see. The diver did manage to get himself free of the octopus eventually, only for it to return with a vengeance and grab onto the guy's flipper, trying to yank it off. It took another minute or two, but the octopus finally did give up and retreat to the rocks below, where it changed color to blend in with the seabed, and from there, the violent octopus vanished. 6. Seal attack. Believe it or not, seals are some of the most violent and unpredictable animals that attack people underwater. An underwater cameraman was trying to get some footage of young Cape fur seals when one of them decided to try and bite his head open. The seal attacked the diver from behind, literally sinking its teeth into the top of the guy's skull. The teeth of a seal are almost like dog teeth. It was as if a large dog were gnawing on the top of his skull, almost piercing his flesh and bone with its sharp teeth. It wouldn't let up either. The vicious animal attacked again and again, always at the top of the head, something that must have been extremely painful. We don't know if the seal thought the diver's head was a fish or what, but it definitely wanted to eat it. The seal even tried eating his camera, biting the piece of equipment repeatedly. The diver did get away alive, though halfway through the attack he turned off the camera, and we don't know what happened next. Chances are, he got the heck out of there before the seal managed to rip his diving suit open with its savage attacks. 5. Deadly Moray Eel. While diving in Cayo Coco, Cuba, someone got a bit more than they bargained for when a dangerous moray eel tried to rip his nose off. In the shocking video footage, we can see a group of 5 at the bottom of the seabed next to what appears to be a shipwreck. The people were swimming alongside colourful fish, exploring the coral and checking out the creepy wreckage. Then the moray eel appeared. It singled out one of the divers and began swimming in and out of his arms and legs like a creepy green ribbon in the water. Then, all of a sudden, the eel lunged at the guy's face. It latched on and wouldn't let go, and the diver panicked, grabbed hold of the slippery eel and threw it away from him, but the damage was already done. The diver immediately kicked off the ground and began trying to reach the surface. The eel had messed up his face mask and he was in danger of drowning. It was lucky the other divers knew what they were doing, as they quickly swam to the guy's rescue, grabbed hold of his arms and helped him move up towards the surface, while another diver tried to help fix his face mask. He did escape with his life, though that moray eel just about did him in. 4. Tangled in a fishing net. Coast Guard divers and volunteers in Italy recently had to do something no divers ever want. Diving should always be a fun and relaxing experience, just taking in the wildlife. But north of the Sicilian Aeolian Islands, divers had to participate in an operation to free a sperm whale that had gotten stuck in a fishing net. And to make matters worse, the operation wasn't even a success. It took 3 days for the divers to try untangling the poor whale, who had got its fin completely covered in greasy old fishing nets. The divers were with Sea Shepherd, a marine conservation NGO. They tried their best to free the giant mammal from the fishing nets, as it had become slow and was having trouble swimming. But because the whale was in such disarray, it was very difficult for the divers to help free her. Keep in mind that a sperm whale weighs around 15 tons and can flip its tail hard enough to shatter a person's bones. According to diver Carmelo Isgro, even after 24 hours, the whale was still putting up a serious fight. At the end of the 3 days, divers managed to get off some of the net, but had to give up as the whale vanished deeper into the sea and never resurfaced. They never saw the whale again, but hopefully it's still alive. 3. Man-eating super squid. When Animal Planet underwater cameraman Scott Castle dove into squid-infested waters, he was not ready for what came next. He was just trying to get some footage of the Humboldt squids. Instead, he ended up being on the wrong side of a vicious frenzy. This happened in the waters off La Paz, Mexico. It turned into one of the most brutal squid attacks in recorded history. Soon after entering the water, these squids began to attack. They lashed out at him with their tentacles and bit him with their beaks. This is horrifying because a squid beak can bite down with more force than an African lion, according to Animal Planet. So sharp they can rip through pretty much anything. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 squids. Scott was being attacked by an entire gang of squids. One of the squids ripped his camera away so hard that his shoulder was dislocated. Scott tried hard to get away but was pulled down. 2 squids grabbed his legs and pulled him down so quickly and with so much force that his eardrums ruptured and he screamed out in pain. He finally managed to swim towards the surface with his one good arm, only to have a squid swim up and bite his wrist so hard that it shattered in 5 places. Scott finally managed to get to the boat and out of the water, but he was in terrible shape afterward and needed to be taken to the hospital. 2. Killer whales. Even more vicious and deadly than the Humboldt squid is the killer whale. After all, it doesn't have killer in its name for no reason. When a diver was spearfishing in New Zealand, he came a little too close for comfort to a pod of killer whales. His name is Sam Galloway from the University of Auckland, and he had a very close encounter with this pod of whales, which included adult and young whales. While killer whales aren't exactly notorious for attacking humans in the wild, there was an incident in 2010 when a killer whale drowned their trainer at SeaWorld, proving just how big and powerful these beasts can be. They are also notorious for attacking boats. Luckily, Sam didn't get attacked this time. Some of the younger whales got curious and came to check him out, but the bigger whales left him pretty well alone. Still, Sam was smart enough to stay out of their way, as a single bite from a killer whale could have easily ripped his body clean in half. 1. Picked on by a shark. In Egypt, diver Alexander Krinkle was harassed and picked on by a shark in the Red Sea. He was diving with his friend near Brothers Island, a place with several different species of shark. These include oceanic whitetip, grey reef, silvertip, and hammerhead sharks. In this incident, it was an oceanic whitetip shark that attacked. After diving for 50 minutes, just when the diver was about to ascend, the shark appeared. According to Alexander, the shark got very close to him, which is unusual behavior, and as Alexander swam for the rope to get back to the surface, the shark attacked. It grabbed his right thigh and tried to rip it off his body. Its teeth were so sharp that it ripped his suit open and blood immediately started leaking out from his leg. As we all know, blood in the water is not a good thing when there are sharks around. The other divers were quickly taken out of the water by their guides, while Alexander was given first aid on the boat. The shark had done some pretty good damage to his thigh, but had it been trying a little harder, it could have torn open one of his arteries and caused him to bleed to death. Fortunately for Alexander, he walked away with nothing more than a shallow bite and just a little bit of trauma. Would you dare go diving after hearing all these horrifying stories? Let me know in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and come back for more great videos.